Well, guys, a lot of people are looking forward to 2016 ending, and I am as well for a bevy of reasons. One of the many being that when this year's over, I won't have to watch shit like this anymore. Hey guys, it's Kevin, and this is me, another epic rant. As you guys know, I'm trying to make the most accurate worst list as possible, so I'm trying to watch as many bad movies as I can. Luckily, this is the second to last bad movie that I will be talking about before I make my worst list. My worst list will most likely be up later today, but this is another movie that I was not at all looking forward to, that I thought was going to be absolute shit from the trailer, and I was absolutely right. That movie is none other than Max Steel. Let's talk about this movie, because barely anyone really saw this movie, and that's kind of a good thing, because this movie is pretty fucking terrible. It really is. But there's so many things that make this movie really, really bad. But let's just jump right into it, starting off with the plot of this movie. The plot in general really makes no sense whatsoever. We focus on this teenager, Max McGrath, and he has this ability to somehow emit liquid energy from his hands, and he has these tremendous powers, and he doesn't really know what it's all about, and isn't at all freaked out by it or anything. And then you get to the ending, then you get to the second half of the movie where there's this alien companion, Steel, who holds all the information, but, oops, he lost his memory, and he's not able to get Max, back to where he's supposed to be, or tell him anything about his past, and this movie's really, really dumb, if you guys can't tell from the plot. So, let's just jump into the cast with this movie, because the cast here is pretty bad, honestly. Everyone's giving a really bad performance for the most part. The main lead here, Ben Whishaw, I'm not gonna lie, I think he could be a good actor. Like, I definitely do see that he could be somewhat good. Not in this, though. This character is as bland as you could possibly get. He has really nothing riding on him. He is the really dumb teenager who is just not at all, like I said, he's not even fazed by the fact that there's these weird things going on with his fingers. He has no idea what's going on. He doesn't seem freaked out. He doesn't want to know anything about it. He's just weird. He really is, and this character, he doesn't fit in very well. He's there to be attractive, probably for the most part, for teenage audiences. And I didn't think he was particularly great. He was very bland. I didn't like his character, and I found him to just be quite a bore. So Ben Whishaw was really bad here. Josh Brenner, though, the voice of Steel, is by far the worst character in this movie. So annoying, just so many lines that they try to give me because he's supposed to be funny and hilarious, and it really falls flat. I mean, I wasn't laughing once with what Steel was saying. I thought that he was really annoying, I have to say, and the whole thing of him losing his memory is really just there because, oh, God forbid, he actually finds out stuff, then the movie's gonna be over. It just really does not work at all. It's very contrived, it's very half-assed, and the chemistry between these two is not there at all. They feel like they don't really want to be there. It's very flat, and you don't really believe for a second anything that's going on. So Josh Brenner was really bad here. Anna Villafani as Sophia. Talk about one of the worst written female characters in a long time. I mean, this is someone who, despite the fact that Max constantly chases her away, she still follows him everywhere because, oh, he's the hot guy, and I gotta keep following him, and I gotta do whatever I can to get with him, and it's just annoying. It really is. I didn't like her character at all. She's attractive, I'll definitely say that. I could see why Max would like her, because she definitely is hot, but there's not really much else to her besides that. She's just kind of there to form a romance with him, and again, it doesn't really work at all. Maria Bello was okay in this movie, I definitely will say that, as his mother, but she's barely in the movie, so even her, not really that big of a deal. And then Andy Garcia. The second that Andy Garcia shows up in this movie, you know he's going to be the villain, and he probably is the person giving it 100% in this movie, but at the same time, he's extremely over the top. His villain makes no sense whatsoever, and I really found him to be really unintentionally funny at points, as do a lot of things in this movie I found unintentionally funny. But the cast here is probably the least worst thing about this movie, and that's mainly because of the directing and the writing, because The directing is some of the most misplaced directing I have seen all year by far. I mean, this movie does not know what it wants to be. Sometimes it's this really silly comedy with some really forced banter between Steel and Max, where Steel's cracking one-liners and Max is just trying to stay serious and things like that. And then sometimes it'll turn to this full-on action movie where there's this fucking tornado after Max, and Max is doing what he can to try to get away from it. Then sometimes it'll turn into a romance movie between Max and Sophia, and then sometimes it'll try to be a superhero movie where we have a superhero montage and we have a government facility after them, and none of them mesh together at all. I mean, the best way to describe the directing in this movie is there is a scene where Max and his family are around the dinner table, just having a conversation, and we keep cutting back and forth to this government facility, breaking into this place, and basically trying to, you know, tamper with all of these weapons and things like that. I'm not really sure what was going on most of the time, but it's there to be this really weird edit, and I couldn't really figure out what they were trying to do there. The directing really did not work at all. I thought the directing was very bad in this movie, and really does not fix it from being terrible, because it really is a bad movie. The writing by Christopher L. Yost, though, holy shit is this writing bad. This writing is really, really terrible. I mean, the second that Max realizes that his fingers emit liquid energy, he doesn't try to, you know, maybe find out on his own. He doesn't try to get someone to help him. No, he's gonna go to Google and literally type in, "my fingers emit liquid energy," and then click search, and obviously he's not gonna find anything, so then he types, "what am I?" in big letters, and it's so dumb, honestly. There's so many moments in this movie that are so unintentionally funny, and that doesn't mean the movie's good. I still fucking hate the movie, but it was funny because of how dumb it really is. I mean, some of the things that happen in this movie are just ridiculous. This movie makes you want to believe that, like I said, that this kid has this ability, and they don't explain how he has it and anything like that, and any of the exposition in this movie makes no sense whatsoever. It's kind of just there to make the movie look smart, to make it seem like they know some of what they're talking about, when in reality, they really don't know what the hell they're talking about most of the time, and I think the writing really did not work. I think Christopher L. Yost definitely tried, but it really did not work in the end. I really didn't see much effort put into the writing. I thought that the writing was very half-assed, and like I said, most of this movie, I honestly had no clue what was going on throughout a lot of it, and that's mainly because of how the writing's executed. So the writing definitely is very, very bad here. The cinematography as well is pretty terrible. This is by far some of the worst misplaced cinematography I have seen in any movie all year. I mean, the best way to describe this cinematography is, you know, when your computer is low on battery and you're trying to save battery life on your computer, so you lower the brightness on your computer? Yeah, that's the cinematography in this movie. The difference is that you're not trying to save battery life, you're trying to make a fucking movie here. To me, what it seems like is that the camera was low on battery, so they had to somehow lower it, and they forgot to course correct it so it actually looked lighter, and for some reason they didn't care about course correcting it. They somehow just left it dark, and every scene in this movie, when they're in some sort of building, it's so dim, and it's so dark, and it's just weird. It doesn't go with the movie. Making it dark and gritty doesn't literally mean you have to make the movie dark and gritty. That's not what it means. And I don't understand why constantly so many Hollywood studios are trying to make things dark and gritty. Dark and gritty means the tone is realistic and things like that. Captain America Civil War is a great example of a dark and gritty movie gone right, because that movie's not completely dark and gritty. It has really dark elements to it, but it also has some great comedy in there. This movie does not know how to balance those two things out, and the cinematography really does show that. The score in this movie, again, is laughable at times. I mean, sometimes the score will overpower the music. There's this one superhero montage scene where it's pretty hilarious. I mean, the best way to sum it up is the Footloose dancing angry montage with, you know, this Footloose angry dance montage mixed with a superhero montage, and it's as hilarious as you can imagine. I thought the score was really bad here. But that's nothing compared to the editing, which is really the thing that makes this movie as bad as it really is, because sometimes this movie will just cut in the middle of a scene for no reason. It'll just cut, and it'll cut to something random, and then sometimes they'll just, you know, it'll show you two different things happening at once, or you'll see something for a very short amount of time. At no point does the editing feel like they have anything under control with the editing. It doesn't feel like these are professionals who know what they're doing with the editing, and seem like these are people who can control what they're doing. The editing the entire time this movie feels like it's all over the place. It doesn't go with anything that's going on, and it really does feel out of place, I have to say. I really was not into the editing. I thought the editing was really poorly executed here, and like I said, throughout 90% of this movie, I couldn't tell you what was going on. I really couldn't, because the movie is just so fast-paced. I mean, there's a scene where Max goes to high school, and then the next scene, his mom is asking him, how was high school? I don't know. We saw Max drop something and then run into this girl. So we have no idea how his high school is. We honestly don't know. The movie does not take the time to try to flesh out these characters, or try to tell a compelling story. Everything about the editing is a complete mess. There's no other way to describe it. It's a mess. I don't think there's any way to really fix it, and from the beginning, I mean, the second that this movie started, you can tell that the editing's very off, and it doesn't get better throughout the movie. And there are so many things that they try to do. They try to shove emotion in you throughout this movie. There's this whole subplot with Max's dad and what happened to him, and how Steele has all the answers, but Steele won't tell Max because, God forbid, he try to get his memory back, and Max actually learned something in this movie. But then at the very end of the movie, they try to tell you what happened with his dad, and again, it makes no sense whatsoever. You really have no idea what they're talking about, and throughout a lot of the movie, I started to wonder, do the writers really know what they're talking about? Are they just saying these things to sound smart? Because, you know, when you're a teenager and you're with smarter people in like a high school and you're trying to sound smart, so you use big words to make yourself sound smart. That's what a lot of the characters in this movie do. They don't feel real. They feel like these are characters who are just trying to make themselves sound smart so we can take them seriously, and it really did not work at all. I feel like the movie would actually be better off if you just use regular dialogue and not use this huge, like, science terms, because I don't really think they know what they were talking about most of the time, and it really did deviate away from the story, I have to say. And the action in this movie is completely half-assed as well. The final climax is so unmemorable. I've seen it so many times, and it does not work at all with this movie. Max Steel is a horrible movie. It is an absolute mess. I don't want to talk about this movie really anymore. It didn't infuriate me like some of the other movies. I won't say it infuriated me, but it still is a terrible movie. I got a few laughs out of it, but not because the movie was good. I didn't laugh when I was supposed to laugh. I laughed at the unintentional stuff because of how poorly executed this movie is. It's a mess. It's poorly executed. It's one of the lamest excuses for a superhero movie I've seen in a very long time, and I am definitely going to give Max Steel, obviously, a 0.5 out of 5 or an F. Don't watch this movie. It's really bad. There are so many other movies to see, and that's fine because this movie made nothing. Nobody went to see this movie. It was out of theaters quicker before when it was released, and I am not upset that no one saw this movie because you shouldn't have seen this movie. It has a horrible characters, horrible editing, some horrible cinematography, and hopefully it's never going to get a sort of like sequel or anything like that, because the movie does set it up for a sequel. I hope they don't. It's the Fantastic Four of this year, although I think it's worse than Fantastic Four because the first 20 minutes of Fantastic Four, as you guys know, I really liked, and then the rest of it I didn't. Well, first 40 minutes, actually, I really liked, and the rest of it I didn't like. This movie, I hated the entire time. I couldn't wait for it to end. It was fun at some points because I was with my friends and I was laughing about it, but I didn't enjoy the movie overall. Still, like I said, gonna give it that rating. You will definitely see this movie on my worst list, but that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and holy shit, guys, luckily the next video will be my last rant. Thank God. I don't know how many more of these I can take, honestly, but I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for the final epic rant, and then I will be making my worst list of 2016. You will definitely be looking, I'm sure you guys will definitely not want to miss that video. And that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.